they're saying, not just you got it wrong, they're saying you're being misleading to sell books. Biden folks tend not to be very emotive from my experience. That's pretty strong attack on you both.
Well, we're definitely not misleading on purpose to sell books, right? We were trying to represent our best understanding of the BEAD program as we understand it. And when we published our first, or when it was published, our first descriptions of this bill, people like Bharat, as you said, people from the Biden administration got in touch with us and they said, you're not actually describing the way that this bill was put together accurately. There's some nuance that you're missing. And so we listened. And Ezra published an article in the New York Times, like a 1,500, 1,800 word article, where he talked to people like Jake Sullivan and Bharat with Biden's economic team. And they said, look, in some ways, you've incorrectly described the elements that were responsible for this 14-step process, this Frankenstein monster. But in other ways, and this is so important, in other ways, you've underrepresented just how difficult it is to build anything in government, in part because of the rules that we've put in our own way. Jake Sullivan has this absolutely sensational quote in the piece where he says that every single time the government essentially tries to step into the physical world to build something, they are entirely swept up in rules and regulations, like, the Lilliputians, sweeping up Gulliver with their rope. And so there's a really subtle way in which, yes, the reason why this law was overlarded with regulations had to do with rules that Republicans and ISPs, internet service providers, wanted to overlay into the law.
But you didn't say that in the book or in the interview. You concede that you missed that out. You're telling me you got some of it wrong. You just said that a few moments ago.
Yes, we got some of this wrong in the process of describing it. But just to be clear, the BEAD example was not in the book. The Broadband equity access and deployment example, it appears nowhere in the book. We heard about this partly because I was talking to heads of transportation departments in states who were telling me, you don't understand how bad what Ezra calls everything bagel liberalism is at the state level. It has become so impossible to get money from the government, to get money from the Biden administration to build rural broadband. We can't believe how hard it is to get anything done.
I'm not disputing that. And I appreciate.
It's just important to finish. As we were trying to accurately relay what we were hearing from states, we ended up not telling the full story as it applied to exactly how bipartisan infrastructure law came together. Then as we got more information, we changed the way that we talk about it.
On that note, Derek,